Hey, what's going on? My name's Alex, and you're listening to You're Not Alone, WHIP, with Kayla and Brielle.
Welcome to You're Not Alone, where we dive into all things relationships, friendships, and a bit of celebrity love.
It's your girl, Kayla Love.
And I'm Brielle Bachelor.
Join us for great conversations, personal stories, and the latest relationship scoop on You're Not Alone.
And make sure that you guys are tuned into our Instagram at You're Not Alone _WHIP, and also listen to us on Spotify at You're Not Alone with Kayla and Brielle.
Yes, so guys, we have a very special guest today. I want to introduce you guys to XSHOTIT. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? So my name's X. I'm a photographer, a videographer, just a creative entrepreneur, and a business student at Temple for real.
Yes,
so.
We
Nice.
love business students, period.
Love media, love business.
Yes.
Got a lot of talent in this room right now.
So first off, I do want to thank you for being our first guest. We're super excited to have you today. And we're about to get into navigating the pros and cons of long-term relationships, y'all. So, Alex, tell me about your longest relationship. How long was it? How'd you guys meet? All that good stuff.
Of course. So, longest relationship. So, I was in a 5-year relationship. It was in high school. This was my first love, too. So, but me and her, the vibes was like, that was like my best friend for real. So, we had did everything together. We had first met, literally we used to be on the bus together. So like we would have classes and stuff together. So honestly it was just high school that brought us together. But it was all throughout high school. We were together all the way up until freshman year of college. So,
Wow. So how long did it take before you guys got in a relationship? Like when you first met her to like when you got into it?
I say, for real, it took a couple of months. I would, like, chat her off a little bit, talk to her here and there on the phone for, like, a couple of months, like a month or two.
Oh,
and then it was really, like, Valentine's Day where we, like, sealed everything off.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and what grade did you guys, like, get into things?
9th grade.
9th.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. We
the beginning of high school.
It's crazy because it's like, I like to think of it as, like, we kind of essentially were growing together
For sure.
during that time, all the way up to college.
Okay. Wow. And you said, when did you guys stop talking?
So like we're still friends now here and there. We still like check in on each other, but we stopped honestly around like freshman year of college, like being together. Yeah.
Wow.
Where things started to like
Okay.
So what were some of the biggest challenges you felt like you faced? Because as you say, you felt like you guys grew together, so you kind of went through different phases of your life. So what do you think was like the biggest challenge you faced in that relationship?
I'm gonna say definitely just differences. What I mean by that, it was like, again, we were both growing and we both started just like seeing life in a different way. We both just basically started going down different paths. Just disagreements, honestly, here and there. That would be the biggest challenges. Is just as far as like working together to have like the same type of vision. Because you know, back then you're young, you're not really thinking about having a vision. Like you're just having fun in the moment. But that's really the challenge during those times.
Okay. So what do you believe were the key factors that contributed to the success or longevity of the relationship?
I'm going to say just patience, honestly. Patience. Definitely having that for make it last long. Quality time. Just showing out for each other, being there for each other, and just trying your best to listen to one another. That was really what was helping a lot.
Yeah. I think those are really important things to know, especially when you say like patience, especially growing with someone. Having the patience to talk things out and understand each other is super important.
For sure. So what were some like activities? I know you mentioned like quality time and stuff. So what'd you guys do?
I mean, for real, like...
Or your favorite activity?
Yeah. I mean, besides us, you know, we was very intimate. We just literally did everything together possibly. Like we would travel to places together. We would always like try, it'd be the little things, like we would try new foods together. We would like literally travel like to different states just to try out restaurants together. We would literally just watch movies all the time. We would do little, like we would sometimes go to the movies on purpose, just like, even if we didn't like the movie, just so we could have like a time to review it together and talk about it. Just little stuff like that.
So what was y'all first date? Actually, I want to ask that. What was y'all first?
Honestly, I counted for the movies. I mean, I guess you wouldn't count it for that. We went to go see Split.
Ooh,
You remember Split?
that was a good movie.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. It was Split.
I know there was a lot to talk about after that date.
Yeah.
That movie was creepy.
Yeah.
That's cool though.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like high school relationships, at least for me, I feel like the difficulty with high school relationships was like we didn't really have no money, like, and that was really my problem. I was like, Mom, I want to go on a date, but like we only 14. Where we gonna go?
Thank God I had a job around that time
Right.
too. Like,
Yeah, that's definitely important.
So, how do you feel about having that relationship in high school, or would you have rather waited until you were done with high school to be in a relationship, or do you think it was helpful to learn and grow with someone before getting into college?
That's a great question. I'm gonna say low key, I should have waited.
Mm.
I just felt like I missed out on a lot when I was in a relationship in high school,
Okay.
like just certain experiences. I just felt like it would have been better to have the type of relationship I was having with her in
And your adult life.
my adult life,
Yeah.
especially what we were like thinking about at the time when we were together.
Right.
I think that's a great point to note too, because we have talked about in past episodes, like when you're in a relationship, you kind of get like stunted and feel like you can't do certain things just because you're in a relationship. So
Yeah.
I think it's important that you acknowledge that,
Yeah.
because it's okay to wait, and then it's okay to be in a relationship. But I think I always bring up like individuality in your relationships, because I think when you're with a person, you kind of just become those two people together, and you don't get to live those individual lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks. But
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how did you and your partner handle conflicts and like disagreements that you had? Like, were you guys arguers? Did you talk it out?
Yo, not gonna lie, it was very difficult at times sometimes. Like, here and there, like, we both have, like, moments of, like, just hanging up on each other on the phone. Like,
Wait, I feel like you might know what I'm going to ask. What's your zodiac sign? And
I'm
then,
a Virgo.
And then what's hers?
She is I'm not too familiar, Libra.
Libra. So y'all was like back to back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, cuz.
I think it's funny when people ask me those type questions. But, yeah, it was definitely just at times here and there, like, it'd be little moments where it would be, like, kind of toxic, but then at times we both calm down, come back together, and just be like, yo, let's just actually have a convo. Like,
Yeah.
a real normal conversation, no yelling, and none of that. And when we would do that, it would always work back to normal, because we would always think about the bigger picture.
So what do you guys feel like toxic is? Because I know my definition might be different than you guys and
Right.
stuff. So overall, would you say that was a toxic relationship? Do you think there were some, I mean, you did mention some toxic moments, but
Yeah.
can you kind of define what toxic is to you?
Toxic to me is just like, it's just, when I think of something toxic or like a toxic action, I think it's something that's it comes off negative in that moment. It makes people feel both wrong about it in the moment. It just, basically, I think of toxic almost as like something that doesn't help the situation. It just only makes it worse. And I don't know, like, how do you explain that even more, but that's just why I think of it as.
Yeah, I agree. And I think toxicity can often come just from being around someone too much. I think we've discussed this before too. Like, you kind of just get annoyed with someone.
Right.
It's like, just leave me alone for a second.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Like, how you handle it can be bad, but I think acknowledging that, okay, maybe we just need to take a step back and recoup, because you don't want to say things you don't mean, you know?
Yeah.
For sure.
So that's how I kind of define toxic. Like, you say something you don't mean in the heat of the moment,
Yeah.
and it just comes from being around someone too much and not having that individuality that is so important in relationships.
Right. And I also want to add, I guess, my like key definition of toxicity, it doesn't always have to be arguing and arguments and yelling and screaming and, like you were saying, hanging up. Toxic can literally just be like you purposely doing something that your partner doesn't like. Like, if your partner like really likes good morning text, good night text, and you're purposely not doing it to make them upset, that could be toxic. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, toxic can mean different things to different people, but
For sure.
here we are. Were there any specific lessons or insights you gained from this relationship that have influenced your approach to dating and relationships since then?
Definitely. I would definitely just say emotional intelligence is key. I feel like understanding another person's emotions in that type of moment, especially when you could be having an argument with them, sometimes we're so quick to have a fight back a response. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's you really have to sit back and tell yourself, have that emotional intelligence to feel what they're feeling.
You bring that up a lot too, like putting yourself in the other person's shoes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you acknowledge that, because I'm not even gonna like say males, but like humans, young adults in general, they have a hard time and putting themselves in the other person's shoes and just being emotionally intelligent in general. But can you kind of speak on maybe your peers, maybe your guy friends? Do you think that they're emotionally intelligent? Can they work on it? Are they not?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, fellas, y'all, we gotta do better when it comes to emotional intelligence. I even have some homies now who like at times they'll tell me their situation, and I could just tell it's just in that moment it's a lack of emotional intelligence out of them. So I always hold my friends accountable.
Yeah.
Even what I mean, when they're like wrong about a certain thing, what the way they're treating a girl, I'll tell them like, yo, bro, you were wrong in that situation because here's why. Da da da.
Do you feel like they take that advice well, like guy to guy? I feel like a lot of guys don't really do that. They kind of like encourage that bad behavior.
I agree.
And that'd be the thing too. A lot of us are very stubborn, so sometimes some of them don't take it very kindly. But I'm still gonna tell it to them because I care about them.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of fellas out here, I feel like they're just so stubborn and they think what they say means is like what's right.
Now, do you think stubbornness and being emotionally intelligent has to do with age, or is it just the person? Because I know, some young men and some women might not be emotionally intelligent, but they gain that over time. But some people, that's just who they are. They be in their 40s and 50s and still not emotionally intelligent.
Right. I think it's both because, like you said, there is some people now who are 40s and 50s who feel like they're stubborn still. They're not even emotionally intelligent. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But then you have some people, just because emotional intelligence is not what we think about when we're so young.
Yeah.
So that could also be that factor too. I believe it's both.
Yeah, and I think the problem with relationships nowadays is there's just a need to be right. And a lot of relationships, the people are just too prideful,
Yeah.
But I feel like when you get older, you're more emotionally intelligent,
That insight is definitely super important. And I think you just gain that with going through different relationships. You're like, okay, here's something I could have done better on my part. But you don't know that in the moment. You just look back and you're like, okay, I see where I went wrong.
Right.
And it's good that you can acknowledge it. Because some people, they can't.
Right.
But we're about to go on our first break. We'll be back in about 5 minutes, y'all. So don't miss us too much. And we're going to get into some more juicy tea. All right. Welcome back.
Hey, guys.
Did y'all miss us? Yes? Okay. Taking it as a yes. So let's get back into it. I did want to ask you, since you started your relationship so young, that was your first love, do you think there were any, like, consequences of, like, dependency on each other or just feeling like you have to be with your person? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I will say that. I think being in a relationship like that at that time, I think it made both of us feel not as independent without, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of dependency on each other. We felt like it was always a need to, like, be on each other 24/7, be clingy to each other sometimes. Like you were saying before, sometimes that individuality needs to be there and needs to be developed.
So do you think that, like, affected you guys' personal relationships too, like with your friends or family?
At times, here and there, yes and no. Yeah, it did sometimes. Like, I was saying before, there were certain, like, experiences I would miss out on my friends sometimes. And same for her sometimes, because we would both sacrifice our time to be with each other so much. Sometimes it could be, like, a good thing and a bad thing. So.
Yeah, because it's like, yeah, I want to be with you, but I want to be my friends
right.
too. So I kind of got to, like, pick and choose.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, your relationship with your friends or her relationship with her friends changed in any ways while you guys were together? Do you think they were negatively impacted, or you think everything was, like, cool?
No, I think everything was cool. I think my friends or her friends, they always, like, they definitely respected our relationship.
Yeah.
During those times a lot, and a lot of them would root for it, support it. So that was the nice part about it, is just having people support it too, so they would understand.
So when it comes to, like, long-term relationships in general, do you, and not even just speaking on your relationship, but I know a lot of people will stay with their partner for the exact reason that it's just been so long and they don't really see anything with anybody else. Among all the other reasons that you should want to stay with your partner, do you think that that's one of the main reasons people stay with a long-term partner? Or?
Definitely.
Okay.
I feel like some people just don't feel like going through all that work again to
Yeah.
find the next one.
Right.
Because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time you putting in with that person. But I say that is one of the big reasons for certain people. is they just sometimes may not want to, either they may not see themselves with another person, or they just may not, they might be like, I'm very comfortable with this person. That's how I was. I was like very comfortable with her, and I just did not see nobody else. Like,
So I was gonna ask, but I feel like you just answered it.
Mhm.
So did you ever feel like you were like missing out on maybe potential opportunities to meet someone else because you were in that relationship, or are you always just like it's you?
Yes and no to that. Like, there was times where I would scroll through the gram or stuff like that. Outside noise to me sometimes would get in my head, thinking like, man, like I could get at this girl. Like, why am I with her, and I could be with this person. But sometimes I like to think that's just like the negative emotions getting to you. That's like the devil getting to you. And, you just gotta push past that, and sometimes just focus on knowing what's in front of you is good.
So as far as like being in a relationship in high school, because I know in adult life it's different as far as like reaching your goals, but do you feel that being in a long-term relationship in high school deterred you from like reaching specific goals, or maybe whether it be like playing a sport or like doing well in classes, getting on the honor roll? Do you think that relationship like affected that or no?
Yeah, I mean, it could. Personally for me, at times in high school, I would like, I played sports and stuff. I would like not knock out all my primary goals for the relationship, but what I would do sometimes I would change my class schedule, little stuff like I would change certain little stuff about me just to fit it with our relationship. Like I said, for example, I would change my class schedule a certain way so me and her could be in the same class.
Right.
But yeah, that definitely happens sometimes with long-term relationships. It definitely, unfortunately, I feel like with the con with that is it could knock off your primary goal, like your purpose sometimes.
For sure. And then I feel like even if you are focused, and not even just like talking about you, just talking about like adult relationships and like long-term relationships, even if you have goals that you want to do, even if you are focused, you might get distracted sometimes. It's like, even if you're like engaged or married, it's like, dang, like I'm going through something with my partner, I can't really focus at work, I'm at this meeting, I'm doing this, and then it kind of holds you back. So I feel like it's really important when you are in a relationship to just be in a positive headspace so you can focus on your personal life as well to just grow,
Exactly. And sometimes like what could happen with the long-term relationships, even with me, like many times her goals sometimes used to like overlap with mine. Like sometimes her goals would influence my goals to change a little bit, because that could happen too.
Right, because it's like, I still want to be with you, so you want to do that, I want to do that.
Yeah, let me join you. Like,
I see in like adult relationships and stuff, say you meet somebody in college or something, and it's like, you guys graduate, but both of you are from different states. So what do you do then? Do you follow their career path? Do you follow the other? So it definitely gets tricky.
Yeah, and going off of that too, I did want to ask, do you feel like you guys motivated each other to be your best self, or do you feel like you kind of settled for what was good now? You know what I mean?
I would say, I think me and her definitely would motivate each other to the max a lot. Like for her, she ended up going to like a fashion college, and me seeing that, it made me want to like work hard to get more into the creative industry with myself.
Yeah.
So that is a nice part sometimes about the long-term relationships.
I love that, because I feel like a lot of times you do see like stagnant long-term relationships. We're just kind of doing the same thing. So it's good to see you guys, and I think that does come with growing up together too. Like, you're not going to be in high school forever. You have to get like that career path. So I think it is important to motivate your partner and let them know that you believe in them too, and not like try to hold them back and so they can stay stagnant.
Right. For sure. So what strategies can be employed to maintain like individual identity and personal fulfillment within like a long-term relationship?
I say spending time besides spending time with yourself, I say spending time doing a hobby, either a hobby by yourself or hanging out with your friends outside of a relationship a lot, because hanging out with your friends, you're bound to discover something new about yourself every time. Or you could be influenced by something in a positive way that you can always bring back to the relationship.
Right. Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I was going to mention hobbies and stuff, because I know for me, like, if I'm with somebody or whatever, I definitely, like, have my own hobbies on the side, and I definitely, like, make steps towards my goals, like, every single day, no matter what, That's all you really can do. And one thing about me, I'm going to hang out with my friends. I'm not one of those, like, I'm in a relationship, so I'm ducking everybody. Like, I'm going to hang out with my friends
Yeah.
just as much as I hang out with my partner. But not everybody's like that, you know. I feel like people can work on that and not.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of people, like, in their adult life, they don't really have friends. It's just
Yeah.
their
It's
partner.
true. It's true.
Because you kind of, like, just disconnect from everyone. You're like, okay, we're locked in, we're going to start a family. But then you stop making that personal time for yourself. And then holidays and birthdays and stuff comes around and you're like, wait, I don't have any friends.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Yeah.
So that's definitely super important to just,
Very.
that's like my number one thing. Always keep that individuality because that's all you really have in the end, because you never know who's going to come and go. So making sure that your own life is a priority too is super important, in a respectful way though, you know.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, because this is what I kind of struggle with, like, in my past relationships, do you feel like there was any, like, jealousy or anything like that in a relationship that may have contributed to why it ended? Or it just may have contributed to arguments or disagreements?
Definitely. I would say at times me and her would let our insecurities get the best of us. And I think that's what would cause the little petty arguments. Just off of the insecurities at times. Like, just sometimes, like, I would have liked a person's Instagram post. To me, it don't mean nothing.
Yeah.
But at times to her, she would be like, oh, like, you're liking her post, what's that mean? And but to me, it's like nothing to me.
Ban Instagram.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, but back then with me being kind of lacking the emotional intelligence, I wouldn't see it her way. I would not understand her point of view. But now looking back, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So how did you, like, handle those conflicts over stuff? Because you say you feel like it's not a big deal. She might feel like it's a big deal. So how do you, like, compromise on that?
I would sometimes let down my pride and just, again, I would always think about the big picture with her. Like with me and her, I saw her as someone I could possibly marry, surprisingly. So I was like, always think about, I want to be with this girl for forever. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to just act right. So I would just let down my pride and be like, you know what, she's right. I'm going to just, not do this next time to make her mad.
Yeah.
But that could be hard for some people.
One thing that I do want to go deeper into is you said that that's someone that you wanted to be with long term.
Yeah.
And to the listeners, I feel like that's the problem nowadays. A lot of people will get into things, one, because it's fun, or because they're bored, or because they're filling a place before somebody who they actually want. And that's why things aren't working out. People be with people because, I'm bored. I just want a little fling to, like, pass time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but it's really cool that you acknowledge that that's somebody that you wanted to be with long term, and that's why you were making those changes, and that's why you were learning, Yeah. And like you said, just growing with your emotional intelligence over time. But that's because you wanted to be with her. Some people, and I feel like that's, again, another lesson we can learn. Some people might not have that emotional intelligence because you might not be the person that they want to be with.
That's true.
And I hate to say that,
Yeah, no, that's
but
so
it's
true, though.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you think you made that decision? Like, that's who I want to be with. Like, what point in your relationship was like, okay, I really like you. Like, I like you more than, like, I love you. Like, what was that?
Yeah.
How did you know you were, like, in love to be with someone for 5 years? Like, that's a long time.
Right. I mean, so our families too. Our families are super close. We're super close, or even our families are still close now. So I think when your families are close, that's all that matters. Like, the vibes that's perfect there. But then besides that, I guess with me, what made me, I guess, think at the time, like, oh, she's got to be the one for the rest of my life, was just like everything. It almost feels like you just get that feeling and you, like, everything's falling into place, right? You just get that feeling in your stomach. I can't describe it, but it's just almost like everything's playing right in favor. The puzzles fit right. Everything around you too could be going on good because you're with this person, spending time with them. So
I'm like, I wish I could relate.
Right.
I was trying to place myself there and imagine the feeling, but I was like, the feeling is not feeling. So.
It's almost like you just feel like I think too, it's just you, every time you're around them, you feel a sense of just, like, peace and security at the time. So with her, she would always give me that feeling of support. So I always knew, like, mate, this she gotta be the one.
Yeah.
So did you ever get, like, anxiety too? Because I feel like when I felt like I was in love in the past, I'm like, I get that peace feeling, but I'm also, like, anxious, like, waiting for, like, the ball to drop, like, waiting for something negative to happen. And maybe that's why my relationships don't work out. But did you ever feel like you maybe were waiting for something to happen, or do you feel like she might have felt she was waiting for something to happen?
Yeah, I think, because it was my first love, at the moment, I was just thinking, like, I just want a girl, like, I just want a girlfriend. I wasn't really thinking about too deep into it, but as we were growing together, I did start to, like, as I started to, I guess, like, experience life more, I just was starting to, ask myself, like, what, at any moment could she, like, do something wrong?
Yeah.
I don't know. Could she, break my heart? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's funny because now, being out of that relationship and just seeking another relationship, I am starting to, like, think about that type of thought, though.
Like, are you genuine or?
Exactly, yeah.
So, I'm sure you, like, know the saying, but a lot of people say that a guy will get their heart broke one time and then, like, treat every female after, like, terrible. How do you feel about that? Do you agree with that saying, or?
Yo, so I'm so glad you brought that too. Because, like, no, because, after, me and her had broken up, for a bit in time, I was very bitter. I was bitter with everything. Bitter towards her, resented everybody. I was bitter to every girl, everything. It's a very true, like, statement, unfortunately, for certain guys. But I feel like men out there, they still just need to get in their head that I was just that person who did that to you. Not everyone is different. Not everyone's gonna be like her, basically.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that's the mindset that, like, I've always been in, honestly. But, like, again, like, not everybody's like that. Not everybody can move on, like, gracefully and be like, oh, let me give this person a chance. People are always gonna have things in the back of their mind.
People
like,
are gonna have
that
their
little
guard up
voice,
now.
that little voice telling you, don't trust them.
Right.
And then you start, like, self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So we're going to go on break again. I know it came super fast, but when we get back, we'll get into wrapping up how your relationship ended, advice you want to give to the viewers. So make sure y'all stay tuned. All right, we're back. I know y'all missed us. I won't ask.
No, they did.
But so as we get into our last segment, we're kind of just going to wrap up with how did your relationship end?
So, how it ended, she was the one that called it off. She had pretty much, like, just explained to me at the time that her reasoning was that she wanted to take some time away because this is us going into college now. She wanted to take some time away to find herself and just have some form of individuality herself.
Yeah.
Because she's moving to NYC at this point.
Right, I was going to ask.
And I'm going to Temple.
Yeah.
So it's like, she wanted to, and she was always explaining to me, she's like, Alex, but we both practically grew up together. We practically, known each other all high school. So she was like, I just think we need that time away to just, find ourselves, and then, we can possibly come back together and rekindle. But, unfortunately, during those times where we had that break, she ended up finding, a different person.
Yeah.
So, I had to put the Band-Aid on me and just move on. So,
yeah.
That was that.
So do you think that if she went to school closer, that you guys would have stayed together, or do you think it was just college in general? Like, what if you guys went to the same school, actually? Like, what do you think?
I low-key think that if we had went to the same school, I think it could have worked out better. I think her being in NYC, meeting different people, it's NYC, you're bound to meet
It's a whole different vibe.
Whole different vibe. Literally, I kid you not, when she moved there, I just literally peeped the change out of her, drastic change. It was great to see her blossom, but it was just like, whoa, this is not even the same person I was dating a couple months ago. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And that even goes for, like, friends, too, out of high school. I know I look at some people I used to be friends with in high school, I'm like,
wow,
that's a whole different person.
I can't believe we were friends.
Right.
Yeah, like, college changes people, life changes people, time apart changes people,
So I do think it's positive that it wasn't ended on a bad note, because those relationships that end bad are, like, the worst, because it's like, wow, we were really cool, and now we, like, hate each other.
Especially if, like, their families get close to each other. It's like, if it ends negative, it's like, it sucks for the families too.
Yeah. So how was, like, your first semester of college ever? Like, how was it getting through that after going through a breakup? Did the breakup affect it, or no?
No, it definitely affected. Like, I will definitely say, for me, after the breakup, it was hard for me to, like, just, because in that moment, she was all I knew. And again, I had to definitely just find who I was without her in my life. Like, you know what I mean? So it was pretty hard first semester here with,
So from a guy's perspective, what does healing look like? Because I know it's probably different than, like, a female healing perspective.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Just for me, I would say just taking care of yourself, your mental health especially. Like, for me, after the breakup, I was heavily, I guess, into spirituality. So I was going to church a lot, just trying to, like, just find an answer. For me, I was like, why? Like, why did this happen to me? So I would just go to church to just find an answer. And then I just started to realize I was getting a positive mindset from that. Also the gym too. That's a lot of things guys do. We go to the gym to start lifting like crazy. Once that happened, I started going to the gym like crazy. Just to get myself right. Because I was like, in the time, I'm thinking like, oh, I'm going to show her like, she's missing out. Like, that's what we be thinking. We're like, we got to be better.
So true.
For me, I just be crying, throwing up.
Ice cream.
Yeah, of course, like, I'll be in the gym too, but, like, every day on the phone with my friends, just, like, again, like, why? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I feel like I tend to go to friends a lot too. And then just chasing goals, honestly, you know?
That too. I meant to mention that. I think that made me, like, lock in more than ever with my business and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So do you find yourself, besides getting ready for today's show, still thinking about her a lot? Because I know with me, I try not to think about my exes. I get stressed out. But is that a thing like guys do?
I think so. Even for me, I definitely sometimes think about her in ways of like, man, like we had a good time.
Like little things might remind you of her.
Yeah, the little stuff too. Sometimes I'll visit certain places and be like, darn, like I remember this is where we had this moment where we ate here. So that'd be the thing sometimes.
Yeah. So do you think you have any regrets or anything you might have wished you did differently looking back to maybe prolong the relationship?
I mean, like I said before, definitely just I wish I had more emotional intelligence with her. Also, just having more individuality for myself. I feel like maybe possibly at the time, if I was more about, more independent, maybe she would have felt the same. It would have probably made her never think like, oh, I have to take some time away from you because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So looking back, what are some valuable takeaways or advice you would like to offer to our listeners who are aspiring to be in long-term relationships? And I need to take some advice too, because I don't think I've ever been in like a long-term relationship.
Yeah, not a healthy one.
Yeah, I say advice I would give to everybody is just listen to each other. I remember my pastor, he had brought up a thing about when it comes to like hearing people, if you're listening to somebody but you're automatically thinking about the response already before you even let them finish, that's not listening. Listening is truly just blocking out everything you're thinking about, just hearing what the person is saying. So I'd say listening, just being kind to one another.
Yeah. And then just going off of what you just said as far as listening, I feel like one thing that people in this generation should work on is like, if you tell your partner something once, hey, I don't like, then you should try to fix it. If not, just fix it. Because, I don't know, I forget the saying, it's like, if they do it one time, it's a mistake, and then if they do it like twice or more, then that's just, they're choosing to do that action, you know?
True.
So.
Yeah. I even say for me, there were certain times she would like, tell me, hey, I don't like that, and I would still continue to do it. And unfortunately, I'm taking accountability for it. So it's like, and I realize it's just like, a habit. Like, it's hard to break habits, and she would always tell me, like, I would tell her, I'm sorry, I wouldn't do it again, but she would tell me, like, no, words don't matter to me. It's actions that really matter.
For sure.
That's so important, too.
Actions.
Yeah.
So, in a perfect world, do you see you guys ever getting back together? Is that something that you would be open to?
I ain't gonna lie. I don't think so. Because I had a friend tell me this recently. It's like, we don't read books backwards. You know what I mean?
Right.
We always got to read books forward. That's just a closed chapter in my life.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I feel you. I think that's really insightful for you to say, because I think a lot of people are stuck in that like for lifer phase, and they'll keep going back to the same person no matter what they did.
And I feel like that's not healthy either, because at that point you're just blocking your blessings, because you really don't know what's out there for you.
So true. So true.
So
I definitely say like just having time for myself now. I've just traveled more, met more people, and I'm just like, oh snap, like.
Yeah, it's honestly amazing what you are capable of when you're solely focused on yourself.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So like, relationship aside, like even if you're single, because I've noticed that there are stages in my life where like I've been single like most of my life, but I've noticed that there are stages where I'm like, although I'm not in a relationship, I'm not 100% focused on my goals. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's really important too. If you are going through a breakup, it's like really lock in and just see what you're capable of, because the hurt, the pain, the past, the people, the situations, that's really fuel for getting you to where you need to be.
True. Exactly.
Yeah. So I want to ask if you have any advice for our viewers that may be like scared of change or uncertainty that might come with a long-term relationship, like what advice would you give them? Should they just go for it or maybe wait longer? I don't know. What would you say?
I just feel like, definitely, go for it.
Like
you
that
have to,
investment in someone.
True, and it does take, like, I would say for people like that, just really take the time to get to know them on a deep level. Then you don't gotta rush into it.
Right.
I would say just, ask a lot of questions. Just know really truly what you're getting yourself into. And I just feel like, again, I was saying before, you'll know that feeling of like, oh, this got to be the one. Like the vibes are just right at that time. So.
And another question, kind of going off of like the one.
Yeah.
Do you think there's just one person that's made for you? Like, do you think you could find a strong love like that in another person?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, sorry to cut you off, but there has to be. Isn't the song called "Made for You"?
Right. Yeah. I would say.
Like, I feel like that's like where a lot of the fear comes from. You like once you have that, you don't want to let it go because what if you can't find it again?
True, and I'd be having those little thoughts sometimes too. But I do believe in like destiny and the universe putting a certain person in your life. I believe in all that stuff. So I will say I think that like the soulmate stuff. I think that's real. Yeah. I do think.
And I sort of answering your question, I feel like I'm really big on whatever is meant for me will never pass me. You know what I'm saying? So
true.
And it's not to say that like there's one person meant for you, but if there is somebody like meant for you, it will work out no matter what, no matter the circumstances. Nothing will keep two people apart who are meant to be together.
It's like a puzzle. Like I had a friend tell me recently, she was just like, that person will just fall into your lap, honestly. Sometimes you don't even gotta do much. Like it's just y'all both are gonna just fall into place together and won't have to require a lot of work.
Yeah.
Right. So another question. Do you think that having a strong support system is important in getting through breakups and those relationships?
Definitely. I'll say I really got to appreciate my friends for being there for me during the hard times. That's so key, I think. Because your friends can help you take your mind off of that easily.
Yeah. I feel like that's key in, breakup, aftercare and stuff. It's like hobbies aside, you need people, you know what I'm saying? Family, friends and stuff, just to like take your mind off things. Just also acknowledge that your significant other wasn't the only person who cares and has love for you. Because I have like friends, like my best friend, like she'll call and like check up on me and she'll do this or that for me. And it's like, you really don't like need a partner to survive in life. You can have those single phases and have people that genuinely love and care for you, and that will probably do the same for you as your significant other did, or even more.
And that was definitely a huge eye opener for me too. After my relationship, was just realizing again, like, man, my guys are really there for me. Outside of her, I had people who really cared about me, parents and everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
So as we wrap up for tonight's show, how are you going about dating now? Like, are you in the short-term dating? Are you looking for another, like, long-term partner, or?
So for right now, I'm just kind of like,
Are you just vibing?
I'm just vibing.
Yeah, you just vibing?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just vibing, to be honest. I'm definitely open to finding another long-term, but I'm not going to force it this time.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just going to let it just fall into place.
So how do you feel about, like, the next person you meet, because you went through, like, a breakup that sort of, like, hurt you, obviously. The next person you meet, how do you feel about, like, red flags? Like, say you like them, but then, like, you see one red flag. Are you going to continue talking to them and take it slow? Is it just, like, you're out of here? Or
Definitely. I would say I think about that huge now with meeting new people.
Yeah.
I would say I do pay attention. When I pay attention to the red flags, I just try to work it out with them, or like just have patience with them. Like I said again, I feel like that's another thing for advice to people. If you see a red flag in someone, don't think that person can't change being with you. To be honest, that can happen. People can really change if you influence them in the right way.
That's true. I feel like my problem is like after going through a bad or toxic relationship or whatever. Nowadays, it's like if I see one red flag, like
It gives you
you're
the
done.
Yeah.
And maybe maybe I have to work on that, but I just, again, people get into relationships differently than other people. Like, your breakup experience might have been different than someone else's, and they might go into the next one differently,
Exactly.
So that's why I asked.
Yeah. But I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show
Of course,
tonight.
thank you for having me.
Yeah,
This
we had
was
a lot-
super
we had a
duper
lot of fun.
insightful, and I'm glad that you were our first guest because I feel like you were super level-headed.
Yeah, you set the
compared
tone.
to some people that we could have had on here that would have been super toxic.
Yeah.
So I'm super
appreciate
proud
that.
of
Yeah.
you for talking to us today.
Yeah,
And
and just
yeah.
like being vulnerable, because I know a lot of males, I hate to hate on males, but like a lot of males have trouble being vulnerable.
Right,
do
and
be
you
hard
did
to
it
do.
without
Yeah.
bashing anyone.
Yeah,
Like it was
for
really
sure.
good. So yeah.
So remember, no matter how tangled your love life gets, just know you're not alone.
If you want to see more from us, check us out on Instagram at You're Not Alone WHIP, and make sure y'all follow Alex on Instagram at XSHOTIT_.
Definitely.
Tune in to Wake Up Call from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. After that, stay tuned for some sports content from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. only on WHIP Radio.
That's it for tonight. I hope our advice helped, and we will see you guys next week.
This is Brielle Bachelor.
And Kayla Love
Signing off. Yay, that was so good.
I want to spend
My life with you.
my life with
I should stop recording.
Yes. And scene.
And see. So do y'all want the real? Like, I gave y'all the real story, but I had to sugarcoat it. I
okay.
Yes, I want the tea.
Yeah, because I still respect her.
Right.
But pretty much, when we went on our break in college,